My second loser are the Miami Dolphins of this offseason. One, they're officially entering cap hell. Let me read off the list of the people that they lost. Christian Wilkins, Raekwon Davis, Xavier Howard, Jerome Baker, Deshaun Elliott, Andrew Van Ginkel, Brandon Jones. Robert Hunt. Robert Hunt was a starting guard for them. Every other player that I just read off this list were starters on their defense last season.
They also lost their defensive coordinator.
And they lost Vic Fangio. So, okay, start with that. Like, one, that's insane to lose that much talent in the building. And then this offseason, I just don't love the players that they brought into the building to replace the talent that they lost. So they get Jonathan Harris. Don't love him. Jordan Poyer, he's 33. Shaq Barrett, he's 33. Jonnu Smith, he hasn't really worked out the last few places that he's gone. Jody Forson, and then they signed Odell Beckham Jr. They signed the retirement home this offseason.
They did. They didn't have a choice, though. They had to fill out their roster with guys like this because of the cap situation that they're in.
And then let's go into the NFL draft then. They get Chop Robinson. You like Chop Robinson, but it is no secret that Chop Robinson is a project edge rusher. I think that's completely fair to say.
And you had two guys, like they kind of needed that, though, because they had both of their starting edge rushers were coming off season-ending injuries, which sucks.
Yeah, it sucks, but I mean, it's just interesting that like you would think that you would be in a position at that pick, and we talked about it where they were desperately trying to move that pick. From inside information, they were calling everybody trying to trade out of the first round because they didn't love where they were at, and then they ended up taking Chop, who was a developmental guy. Then they take Jalen Wright, project offensive tackle, another project. Then they take Muhammad Kamara from Colorado State, a project edge. And then the one pick that I loved was Malik Washington, the wide receiver out of Virginia. And then they go and they sign Odell Beckham Jr., which pretty much in kind of incites to me that they don't really have a role carved out for him at this point, because you're obviously going to play Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, the Odell signing felt really unnecessary. It honestly just felt like a vibes signing. Because like wide receiver isn't necessarily a priority for them. Like they did get that kid in the draft that probably should be playing over an Odell Beckham Jr. who's definitely on the back half of his career. So like, but again, they just like
he's on the 18th hole.
Yeah,
he's on the fucking green. That guy's done.
He's lining up at 17 to tee off. A guy that's been on how many teams the last 4 years? A new team every year, many. I think.
Yeah. And then on top of that, the talent that they have on the roster, one, we loved Devon Achane last season. We play fantasy. We saw some of the games he had, but in reality, he's a tiny guy. And on top of it, he did not stay healthy. Raheem Mostert, their other running back. Raheem Mostert is the oldest starting running back in the entire NFL, and he has a long injury history. Tyreek Hill is the second most expensive wide receiver in the NFL. He's going to be 31 years old this offseason. And then Tyron Armstead, their offensive tackle, who they spend a lot of money on, that guy legitimately cannot stay healthy. He wasn't healthy with the Saints, and he has not been healthy since he's gotten to the Dolphins. So they already have, on top of the old pieces that me and you just said that they brought in, the guys that they have on the roster already are injury prone and old.
Yeah.
And then
that's not a great offseason.
And then on top of it, we have on top of all of that that's going on, and the real reason why a lot of this talent has got out of the building is because the Tua contract is the looming thing over this franchise that they are going to have to get figured out. So it seems like that they're in a really bad spot from a roster perspective. What I think that we can feel good about their offense. I think that we can sit here and say, okay, everything works out, their offense stays healthy, we can feel really good about this but from the defensive perspective, I think it's extremely fair to sit here and say that this defense is like they're paper clips and gum. They're held together by nothing at this point.
Yeah, their motto coming into the season is probably going to be like, hey, let's try and score 45 to 50 every game and see where that puts us. Because what are you supposed to do when your defense is that bad potentially?
Score 50. So
Yeah, like what are you? You have no other options. You have like you put all of your chips on the offensive side of the football, and you're just gonna have to hope and pray that Tua can stay healthy, that Tyreek Hill can stay healthy, and hope that you can score 7 touchdowns a game.
yeah, so again, to recap, lost a lot of talent on the defensive side of the football who were plus starters for them, who played in every game last season for them. The talent that they added through free agency, we both feel is a little underwhelming and older, even though some of them could be deemed as good players. Like Shaq Barrett and Jordan Poyer played a lot of great football, and Odell, but they're all old. They're all in the back half of their
Yeah.
career. We both feel you like Chop Robinson. I'll agree with that. I think Chop will probably play good ball for them. The other guys, I feel like, unfortunately, the Malik Washington thing, I feel like he kind of is going to get drained out because of OBJ. And then the talent that they have in the building right now, they're on big contracts, they're old, and they're injury prone. So another loser for this offseason, the Miami Dolphins. Do you have anything to add?